Hello, chat. Hi, guys. Oh god, I need to scroll to the top. Oops. Okay, there we go. Left screen. Hello, hello. How are we all doing tonight? It's so lovely. It's so lovely. A little bit earlier again as usual, or earlier than usual, not as usual. Hi, Duality, Ellipti, Sino. We're not gonna. I'm gonna. Oh, hi, Willow. Hello, hello. Good to see you too. I'm hoping that we can get through this pretty quickly because normally I go running and then sorry, something almost fall. I go running and then I stream, but because we're doing this a little early, I haven't run yet, and I need to run today, but I don't want it to get too late. So hopefully we can knock this out in an hour and a half maybe, and then I can hopefully go running before it's already dark, but before it gets too late. So yeah, but quick recap of what we ended up on the last chapter, though truly the last chapter was something that you should experience for yourself if you haven't. The summary does not do it justice. But exclamation point summary for all the summary chapters if you need that. As a little quick recap of chapter 8, at least the bar end, Karkat had found himself in the some sort of purgatory / afterlife called the Midnight City, after being thrown off of Mount Everest by Solux after he had been teleported there against his will somehow. He's in Midnight City and he has to find a way out, and he's like, I will go to Spade Slick because that's who brought me here. Tries to find him, gets caught by some weird psychopomp detectives, and gets brought to Aradia. And Aradia's like, you shouldn't be here. Ooh, you are alive, and living people are not allowed here. How did you get here? And Karkat's like, I don't know, man. Stalling. And then all of a sudden, pink light flashes around in a circle underneath Karkat, and Solux pops out of nowhere, and then he's like, hey, and then he stabs himself with 2 swords to reflect the tarot that Karkat pulled earlier, stabs himself, dies, and then somehow that powers the spell, and Karkat is able to be teleported whoosh, back to the land of the living, and now has a little Solux who used all of his powers and died, and now he's like a little snake, and they are in the house of Roxy Lalonde, so Dave and Rose's mother, and they are all together there, with June, and Jade was also there, and seemingly they had used some sort of spell to get Karkat back. And Karkat explains what happened to them, and now, finishing up the last chapter, Karkat has just asked Rose what happened from their side. And so we are getting our first POV shift of Alternate Universe, and we will now be Rose. We are now in Rose's POV. Also, hi, Celeste. So we are now in Rose POV, and we're gonna get started with reading. It's time. We're gonna get in the Rose headspace. We are Rose Lalonde. Okay. Okay, my music levels are all good. All right. Here we go. Okay. Be Rose. Your breath freezes in your lungs as you stand alone on the street, entirely useless. You have naught but chipped nail polish and sizzling pavement at your feet as proof that your roommate was even here a moment ago. As proof that your friend was even here a moment ago. You don't have time for panic. You have to think. Look at this logically. Karkat was here, and now he isn't. Someone took him somewhere. He obviously wasn't running an illegal teleportation spell himself. He didn't want to go. The magic looked purple to you, but you didn't get an especially close look at it, being that you were more concerned with stopping it from abducting him. Solix can teleport people. His magic shows up blue and red, so perhaps you could have misidentified that as purple, and this could all be some foolish prank. You doubt it, though. That's not really like him, and even if Solux did want him to do that, he was very explicit before about getting Karkat's permission, an indication that he needs it. Karkat clearly wasn't giving his permission, so you doubt it's Solux. You still don't have a better lead than Solux, even if he isn't responsible. He's likely the best chance you have for finding out what happened. A short sprint and an impatient elevator ride, and you're at your brother's door. The school technically never taught it to you, but a basic unlocking spell for simple doors is something you learned as a child. You try not to do it because of people's privacy, but this is an emergency. Solux, Dave, you shout as you burst into the room. You wish to be purely descriptive here, not derisive. You do not mean this as a pejorative at all, but the fact remains that when you burst into your brother's dorm room, he does, in fact, scream like a little girl. Fucking hell, Rose, what's your problem? Dave snaps at you. Is Solix back? Please tell me he's back, you beg, kicking the door shut behind you. No, why? He says. You slump against the door. If you don't have Solix, then this is going to be a lot harder. Shit, you whisper, and massage your temples. Shit isn't an answer to that question. Why do you need him so bad that you burst in here like the Kool-Aid man, huh? Dave asks. He was midway through washing dishes. He has soap bubbles all up his arm that he's wiping away with a kitchen towel. Karkat vanished. We were in class. We left. He followed you because you stormed out like a foolish, petulant child, and now he's gone. We got outside the tower, and he stuck to the floor. A circle sprung up. I tried to get him out, but it teleported him off to somewhere else. I don't know what else to do. I thought maybe Solux would know what to do, you say. Did you check his room? Maybe he's using magic without knowing what he's doing and teleported himself, Dave suggests, though his expression isn't as calm and reassuring as he's plainly trying to be. I didn't, you admit. Dave gestures to the door, and the two of you hurry out, down the stairs, and after a little fiddling with your key, you get back into your own dorm. You could have just magically unlocked the door, but you don't think of that until you're already opening it with your key. You're being scatterbrained out of panic. That won't help Karkat. You call for Karkat. He's not in the main room. His bedroom door is ajar, and you push your way in there as Dave takes the bathroom. Karkat's room is tidier than your own. It always is, but it's devoid of Karkat. Rushing across the way, you open your door to your own bedroom. You don't expect him to be in there, but it'd be remiss of you not to look inside. It saddens, but doesn't surprise you to find that your room is empty as well. So he's not here. We've got to do something about this. We got to go to Mom, Dave says, his voice quiet. Perhaps you ought to consider the police, but there will be investigations and it'll take time. Who knows where Karkat is? You can't just abandon him. He doesn't have anyone else except you and your friends. Who knows if the police would even find him? No, Dave's right. This is a magical problem and you need magic to solve it. I'll gather some of his things, take his toothbrush and sentimental items. Anything that might help her to get a lock on him could only be of use at this point, you say with a nod. I'll go tell June what's happening. Meet back here in 5, he suggests. You nod in agreement and Dave leaves. Karkat's toothbrush and ineffectual hairbrush are in his bathroom. Magic done by hair, blood, nails, and the like are some of the oldest magic, but it's incredibly powerful. If you have this, it should be easier for your mom to lock onto Karkat's physical body. Since she doesn't know him as a person, it'll be his effective subject address for the spell. Going into the bedroom instead, you have a look around. You try not to pry, but these are rather unique circumstances, and you're reasonably sure he will forgive you for transgressing his boundaries to bring him back from wherever someone had abducted him to. The thing is that Karkat's room is mostly bare of personal effects. You need something emotionally important, something that his spirit will cling to in order to make locating him easier. He spends a lot of time on his laptop. He probably values it because of the cost at the very least, so perhaps you can take that. His bookshelf seems like a more promising avenue for emotional items. You scan the titles, looking for something well-read and well-loved. One book stands out to you near the top of the pile. Its comparatively thin spine is creased over and over, but it's still clear enough to read the title. All You Need Is Kill by Hiroshi Sakurazaka. Interesting. You wiggle it out of the stack of books and note that the cover of it looks more like something off of a manga book than a novel of any kind. A brooding hero in a mech suit with guns on the cover. Not something you would have thought would appeal to Karkat. His other books are a mixture of classics or widely acclaimed literature, trashy romance, and self-help books relating to memory loss. This book is an anomaly. Flicking through it, you see that a good number of the pages are dog-eared, and the paper feels smooth and well-worn, like it's been in and out of a bag countless times. You flick to a random page and read. You try not to think of this as a form of scrying. Back before the event broke, your ability to see the future would... Back before the event broke your ability to see the future, you would find flashes of insight gifted to you from the strangest prompts, seeing order in chaos, meaning out of meaningless. You endeavor not to do this here, lest you risk doing to Karkat's book what you did to the teacup and those tarot cards. You open a page and read. There were only 3 kinds of battle to begin with. Fucked up, seriously fucked up, and fucked up beyond all recognition. No use panicking about it. Not exactly in keeping with his other reading material, but certainly good advice for now. You cannot panic. If you were to get literary in this situation, you could quote the Dune monologue about fear. It is truly the killer of the mind, and you can't afford that now. Regardless of whether you expected to find this here or not, you don't think Karkat would have kept this book that's so discordant to the rest of his collection if he didn't value it in some way. That means it's a sentimental item, and it's useful to you. You will get Karkat back, no matter what you have to do. So June and Jade have insisted they're coming with, Dave announces from the door. June is barely welcome in your house, and Jade doesn't know your mother at all. Unfortunately, June has that look on her face that tells you she's not taking no for an answer, and quite frankly, you do not have time to waste arguing with her. Fine, you sigh, and put Karkat's books in your satchel of holding. You book the tickets? Dave asks you as you walk to the door. I can. Jade, do you have your ID on you? June? You ask. June pulls a face as she rummages in her bag, but comes up with the right ID, as does Jade. You take both and open the port website. Goodness knows that you and Dave have bought enough tickets back to New York since Solix disappeared. You can navigate their site with ease now, and your information is already pre-filled. Shouldn't we leave Karkat a note in case he comes back here when we're gone? Jade suggests. That's a good idea, Dave says, and the two of them start drafting a note to leave on the table as prominently positioned as they can. Your mom will know how to get him back, June reassures you softly, her warm hand settling on your shoulder. You nod and swallow around the lump in your throat. You keep going through the teleport booking system as Jade and Dave finish their note, and you all start walking to the campus teleportation circles. When you arrive, you've booked your tickets and you've got your confirmation in. Excuse me. The university staff doesn't even bother asking you and Dave half of the ID-related questions. You're both practiced at this by now. He does check out Jade and June, though, and when he's satisfied, he takes the 4 of you into a room and sets up the teleportation. Mostly this small setup just shuttles new students and academics back and forth. It's not a major port like the one you're going to in New York. The trip there is simple. You have no luggage beyond your satchel of holding, and you and Dave can navigate the port on the other side just fine. You tune out the taxi ride as Dave and June delicately explain your mother's situation. You don't care to hear it, nor to see how Jade might look at you now. Karkat has been so kind and understanding about the whole thing. He wasn't pitying you for it or acting like it was something contagious. Perhaps having memory loss as severe as he does gives him some empathy for your mother's mental deterioration. When your thoughts spiral into wondering what you'll do if you never see him again, you distract yourself, bite the bullet, and call your mother. You lean against the cab door with your phone held to your ear. It rings for a little while before she picks up. Hello, who is this? She asks. Mother, it's Rose. I'm on my way home. I'll be with you shortly, you inform her. You were just here, she says. I need some magical help. Something's happened to a friend of mine, and we need your advice on it. Someone teleported him away, you tell her, hoping the information will pique her interests. She loves puzzles. Oh, how interesting, she says slowly. You're sure she's already thinking on you're sure she's already thinking on the problem. I'll tell you everything when we get there. Dave is with me and also June and a friend of ours from school. She lives with June, a Fae girl called Jade. We're friends and she's lovely, you say. Your eyes are squeezed shut as if that could in any way shield you from what's coming next. No, absolutely not. I will not have people in my house. The barriers, you don't know who they are. It's not safe. You can't bring them, your mother insists. Mom, they're always watching, trying to get in. To get to you, you don't even know if they're human. And that June isn't what she says she is. Just because you're friends with this other girl doesn't mean you don't know who she's working for, Rose. She snaps. Mother, you say firmly. June has never done anything wrong. She's not lying about anything. The only thing she says that isn't true is that her father is secretly some kind of clown. We've been friends for years. She's been over to the house a lot. Dave and I will keep them supervised 100% of the time, and I promise. But they know Karkat. They want to help rescue him. They know who he is as a person, and you know how important that is, you tell her calmly. You don't want to give in to her paranoia, but compromises are your best bet here. Your mother makes an uncertain noise and hangs up the phone. You're not turning around now, so you just grit your teeth and resolve yourself to doing this. When you get to the edge of the property, you take Jade's hand in yours, and Dave takes hold of June. You pull them over the line with a fizz of the defenses over your skin. It's still a 10-minute trek through the woods to get to your house, but your mom has ways of watching. She's just scared of outside people is all. Sometimes she's better, more lucid or whatever, Dave explains, his voice going too quick in that way that belies his nervousness. My grandpa got a little weird before he eventually died. Sometimes this kind of thing just happens. It's okay, Jade says sweetly. You take her up the rocky path towards your house. Its pure white walls and brutalist architecture might seem impressive to some, but you know of the wards baked into the very stone of the walls. You have seen the spells inscribed in the rocks that bordered the property, the interconnected magical apparatus that keeps this house isolated from everything. Your mother hasn't left the grounds of her hidden estate in 17 years. It took so much convincing for her to let you leave it all. Dave somehow talked her into it after the event, though you don't know how he managed. That memory, like so many, is lost to whatever happened. Perhaps she pitied you for the loss of your sight and wanted you distracted. Maybe even she didn't want you becoming like her. It's not as if she's unhappy here. Your mother has a good amount of woodland that's protected enough to keep her feeling safe in it, and the waterfall is lovely in the summer. She has a little gym, a pool, her vast library, and her laboratory. She watches movies, reads books. When she's doing well, she seems perfectly happy. It's only when you run into the shattered splinters in her soul that there's a problem. It isn't her fault. You know it isn't, but it makes her difficult to deal with, and you're embarrassed to expose others to her behavior. You know it isn't her fault, and you shouldn't be ashamed. You repeat this over and over to yourself. It's an illness or injury because of her work. Her genius took her too close to the sun, and it burnt her. She's done more than most people could in 10 lifetimes. You ought to be proud. And you are, in fairness. You're just ashamed to admit how much you wish she wasn't like this. How you wish you could bring friends to your house without it being a federal fucking issue. Your head snaps up as you see the white-coated figure of your mother rushing down the path to you. No, they have to leave. They can't be here, your mom insists. Mom, please. My friend is missing. He's my roommate. His name is Karkat, and he doesn't have anyone else. Someone magically abducted him, you tell her desperately. Dave lets go of June's hand to step forward and try to reason with your mom. He's always had a better way with words with her than you. June slinks behind you. Your mother has always accused her of hiding information and being involved in some secret plot that she refuses to elaborate on. It's not June's fault that your mother's paranoid mind fixates on her. In your opinion, her dislike of your first real friend is a plain case of her trying to project negative qualities onto June in order to justify keeping you with her. You doubt she's purposefully trying to isolate you. It all seems pretty subconscious to you, but her paranoia just feeds into it. It's hardly fair on June, who's never done anything wrong. Please, he's our friend. He doesn't remember anything before the event, and he only went to Salem University, so... Dave starts. So he could infiltrate your group and sell you out, your mom snaps. What? No, he didn't even apply to go there. He just got an invitation to attend. He didn't plan shit. Rose befriended him, not the other way around, and Solix trusts him. You trust his judgment, right? Besides, the guy's harmless. One time I saw him moving a worm off the sidewalk so no one would step on it. He works in the library. He's our friend. Dave lists off pretty much everything he can think of to try to sway your mom to his side. You note that he leaves out his gargantuan crush on your roommate, but you doubt it'd take your mom any time to pick up on that at all. Dave isn't exactly good at keeping secrets. Look at him, Dave urges her, holding his phone up to show her a picture of Karkat. It's important that we find him, June says from behind you. You turn and look at her, but she seems to be trying to stare down your mother. Surely someone powerful enough to just take him is someone we should be concerned about. What if the same happened to us? You try that angle with your mother. Perhaps her protectiveness with you might kick in and she'll agree to help. He doesn't even know what he is. He doesn't remember anything or have any family. Solux knows what he is, but he can't say, and all we know is his voice does this loud thing sometimes, and fire doesn't burn him, Dave goes on. Something flickers over your mother's face, a dawning realization. And he was just invited to join this university, she asks slowly. Yes, we said that, Dave nods. Right, come with me. Your mother nods and turns around sharply. She starts walking to the house like she's on a mission, so the rest of you can do little else but follow. I brought some of his things with me, his toothbrush and some of his sentimental things, you call after her. You hurry up the path with the others behind you. When you get to the front door, your mom opens it and takes an immediate turn down to the lab, taking the stairs with confident and familiar steps. Whoa, I love your house, Jade whispers in awe. You side-eye the ghastly 20-foot wizard statue that you despise so very much. It's lurking in its own atrium right within eyeshot of the door. It's abhorrent. You rush down the stairs to the lab after your mother, already putting your hand in your satchel as you go. Spell for locating named non-human entities. I know it's... Your mother perks up and stops flicking through her book. Dave, sweetheart, would you go get the globe from the library for me? Thanks, she says without looking up from her book. Right, I'll just, do that. June, could you help me? Dave asks. June nods and the two of them head off. Miss Lalonde, what? Jade starts. I'm not married, your mom says sharply and side-eyes Jade. Miss Lalonde, what do you do down here? This is a really high-tech looking lab. Jade notes. She's quite plainly trying to make conversation, and Jade is friendly to a fault. Unfortunately, your mother narrows her eyes at her from over the edge of her book, her gaze suspicious and accusatory. I'm not going to tell you what I'm working on. I don't know who you'd tell. Just stay there and don't touch anything, she tells her. I'm so sorry, you whisper to Jade. Rose, I need his full name, correct spelling. Also, you mentioned you had some of his things, or some things of his, your mom says. You step forward and write out Karkat's full name and take out the things you took. Your mother at least seems to approve of your forethought. Dave and June lumber back into the room with a large globe carried between them, although Dave seems to be struggling with the weight of it more than June is. Just here, please. Your mother indicates a clear spot on the ground. The two of them set the globe down and step back. With an easy wave of her hand, bright pink light flares up in a circle over the room, in a circle over the floor. The edges fill themselves with ath coating, writing out Karkat's name, like a fractal smaller circle. Like a fractal, smaller circles spawn off of the main one, and your mother gestures for you to place Karkat's items there. 4 more slightly larger circles appear around the edge of the main circle. Stand in here and focus on your missing friend. Any detail you can hold in your mind are good. What he sounds like, the things he said, how he looks, the image in your mind needs to be clear, she instructs you. She sounds so normal now. The competent witch that ran circles around everyone else in her field. The mind of a century firing in all cylinders again. It's wonderful to see, for now at least. You stand in your circle and allow your gaze to soften, not really looking at anything in particular. Instead, your sight is turned inward to focus on your friend. From details, you build a picture of him. The way he always seems so tuned in to how you feel and considerate of what you're thinking. For all his tendencies to be rough around the edges and speak tactlessly at times, he's a genuinely conscientious person. He seems so pleased whenever people choose to spend time with him, so deeply lonely and missing connections with other people. He's funny. He teases your brother and clearly holds quite a candle for him, but when he interacts with Solux, you get to see that sharpness of wit and mind within him. He clearly enjoys goading Solux, and their interactions are incredibly fascinating and funny. You've never seen Solux put so much effort into antagonizing someone before, and Karkat's behaviors around Solux is unique to him. Karkat is talented and hardworking and alone. It pains you to think that if he doesn't come back, if you don't find him, that the only people in the world who would miss him are in this room. Well, this room and wherever Solux is. You feel the spell pull and hear the globe spinning quickly. Just as suddenly it stops. What the fuck? Your mom says, and with a simple gesture, the globe in the circle rotates. She examines the whole thing and then walks along her circle, staring at the words she's written down. Where is he then? Dave asks. Nowhere on Earth. The spell identified him as an existing person that you know and searched the Earth, but came up with nothing. Wherever he is, it's not here, your mom tells him. What does that mean? Is he dead or in another plane of existence? June asks. Possibly. Stay where you are. Let me rewrite this, she says, and the text around the circle starts changing. It goes through a few revisions before she seems satisfied. What's this one going to do? Dave questions her, turning his head to look at the words as if he can read them any better than you can. Last location. All right, let's do this again. Think about him, your mother tells you, and so you call Karkat to your mind again. The globe spins in your peripheral vision and then screeches to a halt with a flare of pink light. Gotcha. Where are you? Your mom says, waving the circle away and leaning over the globe. She makes a thoughtful noise and walks off to a nearby bookshelf and starts flicking through things. You hurry to the globe and have a look. There's a bright shaft of light coming out of the globe. It's on the other side of the world to where you are now. What's he doing there? Wait, is that? Those are the Himalayas, right? Dave whispers. His fingertips trace the mountain painted into the globe. Everest is the highest point on the planet. Perhaps he was taken somewhere from there, somewhere that required that kind of height, or I don't know. You really have no clue where to go from here. So we know he's not dead, right? If he's somewhere else? Dave asks. No, we don't. He could be somewhere else because his spirit has moved on. If someone dropped him on Everest and then he died there, we'd get this result too. I need to find the right spell to rule that out. Rose, I need that toothbrush and hairbrush, your mom says, holding a hand out as she continues reading through her book with the other things. Continues reading her book with the other. What are you doing, you ask, as you grab Karkat's things. I need to synthesize more of his cells. It'll work best with his hair since those are dead. Then I need to do some math to work out exactly how many I'm looking for. I need to search for any concentration of dead cells bigger than what I synthesize within a small space, enough to rule out every hair that he's shed as a false positive, but it should pick up his body if it's been anything short of atomized. If it can't do that, then he's not dead on Earth. Your mom explains as she walks over to her alchemy setup on the far corner of the room. Can't you just search the other planes of existence like you did with this one? June calls after her. For a start, as you well know, there are thousands of other planes. With no idea where he's gone, and no map of each one, it'd be nearly impossible to find him. If I knew where he was, that'd be one thing, but I don't. For a second, it's better to rule out this plane entirely first, your mother says sharply. Why exactly June should have known any of that, you don't know. Of course, if I knew what he was exactly, it'd be easier to find him, your mom says, still staring at June. Karkat doesn't know what he is, June repeats. You've already told her this. Your mother just turns away with a tut and starts moving things about on her table, pouring liquids into vials and other such things. This will take time. You don't need to be here, she says. That's code for get the hell out of my lab. You and Dave get your guests back upstairs and you close the door to the lab behind you. I'm sorry about her. You apologize to June, who just waves your words off. She knows what your mother is like by now. Dave is leading the way to the main sitting room and falls onto the sofa with a deep sigh. You know what I don't get? Who would do this to... Oh, this is Jade. You know what I don't get? Who would do this to Karkat? He doesn't know anything from before the event, and even though he's a little ornery... He's an ornery little shout machine. I don't think anyone would ever want to hurt him. Why would someone just kidnap him like this? Jade says and sits down by Dave. He doesn't even know all that much magic to defend himself. Not beyond power of yelling really loud, June adds. Cool. I don't want to think about how he's alone and basically defenseless anymore, thanks. I'm just going to turn this on instead, Dave says in a tight voice and turns the TV on. You settle in place next to June with a heavy heart. You know that your mom will do what she can to find Karkat, but if he's on some different plane and you don't know what it is, then your options for finding and helping him are limited. Don't people say that the odds of getting a kidnapped victim back alive decrease drastically as time goes on? The TV flicks on to the news. An utter chaos here in Nara, Japan. 6 hours ago, we lost touch with the Magi archaeologists on the dig site, and an hour ago after, when technical difficulties had been ruled out, rescue workers headed in to find out what had gone wrong. As soon as they entered the underground tunnels, the team on the ground up here lost contact with them as well, the reporter says. She's standing on a rain-slicked Japanese street, and behind her you can see police officers and high-ranking witches from the Japanese Magical Government Service Department. You recognize the symbols on their collars, even from the distance the reporter is from them. The JMGSD at this point stepped in with full protection, sent in a camera to investigate. Thus far, the most they have concluded is that some artifact in the dig site either possessed or drove the original team insane, causing the Magi archaeologists to turn to murder and cannibalism. The rescue staff, though slightly affected, did not progress this far, but unfortunately several of them were killed by the original team, the reporter says gravely. What could do that? Jade gasps. As suddenly as they arrived, both the storm and the clowns have vanished. It is unclear whether the artifact within the dig site that caused this is still present and intact, and ministers are in talks with the JMGSD about what to do with the artifact. Currently, the survivors are in urgent care, and the investigation is ongoing. We will keep you up to date with this story as it progresses, the reporter says. That's enough TV for now, Dave says and turns it off. Certainly not the restful distraction he'd been hoping for. It's a waiting game, trying to think of anything you can possibly do as your mother works. None of you are in the right state of mind to work on classwork, not when it's possible that Karkat could be dead at the top of a mountain. You tried so hard to hold on to him before the spell yanked him away. You hope at least he knew, excuse me, that you cared. It's solidly into nighttime when your mother appears into the room again, not that you hear her enter. You just sense her presence and feel Dave startle when he sees her. Are we ready? Dave asks in a rush. He definitely isn't human, but I'm ready to do this spell. Come on. She beckons you all back down to the lab and repeats the process again. The globe spins and you see 2 blinking lights on it. What does that mean? Has he... Dave can't say it. Is Karkat dead? The flashing parts show higher than average concentrations of dead cells, but not a larger amount than in the sample flask. One appears to be in Salem, probably his room from shedding skin and hair, and another in Georgia? She frowns. He used to live there before, you tell her. Well, there you go. Same as Salem, then. Unless your friend was atomized and scattered over a very large area, he's not dead on this plane of existence, your mom tells you. That's good, I guess. Well, what now? How do we get him back? You ask. Unless I know where he is, I can't do anything. These kind of spells need an address to lock onto. I don't know what you're expecting, kids, but I'm not magic. Your mom considers this for a moment. Okay, I am magic, but I can't do everything, she adds. Hello? A voice filters down from upstairs. A familiar voice. Solux's voice. Solux, down here, Dave shouts. The door opens again and you watch Solux peek, as Solux peeks over the edge of the stairs to look down at you all. You weren't in your room. Why is everyone here? He asks and floats down. You see him look from your mom to Jay to June. He's just as surprised as you are that she's tolerating their presence. Where have you been? Karkat's missing, Jade shouts at him. He was with Rose and someone just abducted him away magically. Mom says he was on Everest, but now he's not dead and he's not on this plane of existence, Dave adds urgently. Not dead on this plane of existence and also not on this plane, your mother corrects, implying that he very well could be dead on another one. Solux looks worn out, but now very alarmed. I need to go talk to a guy about a thing, Solux says tightly. What? No, Solux, don't go anywhere. We need your help, Dave demands, and Solux pauses. I really need to, Solux tries. No, you've been gone without a word for weeks, and our friend is missing. You can't just go off somewhere for no reason. If you can do something to help, then tell me what it is, Dave insists. Solux wilts a little. He can't just say no to Dave when Dave is really clear about what he wants. Solux's shoulders slump and he looks around at your group. He really didn't come back? Solux asks. Back from where? What do you know? You ask him suspiciously. You know evasive phrasing when you hear it. He managed to drag me to Everest. He wanted me to get him down. I couldn't take him myself, and I was already supposed to be somewhere else. So I had someone else give him a ride. He should have been right back in his dorm a minute later at most, Solux admits. He isn't, your mom chirps in. Who did you ask to take him for you? June asks and steps out of the circle. I'm going to go ask and find out what's wrong, Solux says hurriedly, not answering. Dave jumps forward and wraps a hand around Solux's tail, halting his escape. Who did you call? Dave asks him. Ghostbusters, June whispers softly. She is unashamed, even when you and Dave both glare at her. Jade seems just as confused and probably misses the reference. Actually, she's lived with June for a while. No way she doesn't know about Ghostbusters. She's probably not as tired of it as you and Dave are. Solux, who did you call to take Karkat back home? Dave repeats the question once more. Solux seems to squirm a little under Dave's stare, but he answers anyways. Spade Slick, Solux says, his volume low as if somehow Dave wouldn't have heard. The guy who told your ex where you were so she could kill you? That guy? That's the guy you gave Karkat to? Karkat who is missing? That guy? Dave asks him incredulously. No, it's not like that. Slick likes him more than he likes most people. Anyway, besides, he has no reason to take Karkat and keep him. He doesn't know anything about anything. Slick knows that, Solux says defensively. So where is he, and how do we get him back? Dave demands. I don't know. Let me go somewhere and drag him out so I can ask him, Solux snaps back. Dave lets him go and Solux vanishes. So we know how he got off the mountain then, June says a moment later. I can't believe that he thought that was a good idea. What the hell? Dave mutters. Where has he even been all this time? Is no one concerned about that? What's so important that he couldn't take Karkat home himself and instead outsourced it to someone else? Jade asks. All very reasonable points. We suspect he was in Japan, based on Karkat's predictions at least, you tell her. The timing of things going the way they have in Nara and Solix's sudden reappearance can't be a coincidence. It takes a whole 5 minutes before Solix reappears, looking very stressed out. So, good news and bad news, what do you want first? Solix asks. Give us the good news first, Dave requests. I know where he is, Solix tells him. Bad news, you prompt. I only kinda know where he is, Solix admits. That seems to contradict your first point a little there, June sighs. No, look, I do know what city he's in and what plane. I just don't know exactly where he is. Neither does Slick, and he's looking for him. He dropped the ball on getting hold of Karkat and they got separated somehow, Solix explains. Well, what plane is he on? Jade asks, crowding around Solix with the rest of your little group. Barring your mother, of course, who is leaning against a wall to the side, just watching. I'm trying to think how to explain this, Solix sighs. Alright, you know when you mail a letter, you put it in a letterbox, right? Is the letter Karkat in this metaphor? You interrupt. Him or anyone else. So the letter is in the mailbox and a mail person comes to pick it up. It goes to the sorting department and they work out where it's supposed to go. When they know that's what's supposed to happen, when they know that what's supposed to happen is a mail person comes along and sends it to the destination. Karkat's in the sorting room, essentially, Solix explains. So can we not return to sender him? Dave asks. Solix makes an unhappy noise. It's not... Okay, extending this metaphor more, I can put a letter in a mailbox, and I can receive a letter if it's addressed to a house I live at, but I'm not a mail person, and they're not going to let me just wander into the sorting room, he continues to explain. So what, limbo? Purgatory? I assume your mailmen are psychopomps. If their job is delivering people, and given that Spade Slick is involved, that seems likely, you say. Limbo and purgatory are specific planes. That's not what he's talking about, your mother interrupts. Yeah, those would be destinations. Like I said, it's a sorting room. Except it's a massive city full of dead people, and Karkat. If he has any sense, he'll lay low because living people aren't allowed there at all. Not unless they're psychopomps, which I'm not. Also, if we're wanting to make this more complicated, Aradia rules that place of existence. Solix says. You and Dave exchange a look. You both share the opinion that Solix is definitely better off not dating a girl who would murder him. Not something you'd think would be a controversial take, but Solix clearly doesn't agree. You have to wonder if Karkat's association with Solix would make Aradia consider him unfavorably if she caught him in a plane he definitely shouldn't be in. What's she going to do if she catches him? You ask. Solix hesitates, clearly uncomfortable. He can't be there when he's alive. He has to leave. I've never known Aradia to kill anyone that wasn't supposed to die right there and then. I'm the only exception because my deaths don't count. It's not permanent. But I don't know when Karkat's supposed to die. If it's now, then he's done for. If it's not, she should just kick him out, he explains. Should, Dave repeats. There's a chance she might just kill him out of spite. Things aren't really working right at the moment, so what's one more error? Or, I don't know. I don't think she would do that, but I can't say that she absolutely wouldn't. We're better off getting him out. I don't know how, though. I can theoretically get there if I die, but it's a massive city, and I don't know how to find him. Also, I don't know if I can get a living person out of there. I don't think I can. Spade Slick wasn't supposed to take him into the city, fully into the city. He was just meant to use his office, which doesn't have the same rules, he says in a rush. If you do nothing, there's a chance Karkat will be returned to this plane just fine, but there's a chance he could be killed. If you do something and work on a way to get him out there, then you stand a chance of rescuing him. But if in that time he's returned just fine, then you've lost nothing. Could you get a map of that plane? Your mother says suddenly, cutting over your thoughts. It changes a lot. It's expanding more and more, but I could probably get down there and find one for you if you really needed it. Why? Solix asks. If you give me a map, I can give you his location, now that we know the plane, and then you could find him in person, your mother explains. I could ask Slick if he has one, or try to get down there myself and steal one, but it's not going to do you any good. He can't get out of there if he's alive. Look. Solix holds his hand up in the air, and Solix holds his hand up, and in the air, blue and red demonic letters begin to glow into existence. Your mom stands next to Solix in silence for a few moments and reads. You wish you knew the language enough to understand what's written here. It would help if I had confirmation of what he is, but you can't tell me, can you? Your mom asks, glancing down at Solux. If you already know, I can talk about it, Solux says. It's not an answer, but it also is. If your mother can guess right in one go, then Solux can assume that she already knew. Your mom smiles deviously and leans down, cupping her hand around Solux's pointy ear so she can whisper without being seen. Yes, that's exactly what he is, Solux confirms with a delighted little grin. That's going to mean she can't tell us, though, isn't it? Dave says quietly. Most likely, you nod. No, he doesn't, Solux says to whatever else your mother is asking. His expression shifts to one of shock and embarrassment without any warning. Roxy, that's not... I don't... Shut up! I'm going to go get your stupid map now, Solux blurts out and vanishes. That leaves your mom standing there with a devious grin on her face. What? Dave asks slowly. It's so nice that you share, your mom grins, although you don't know what she's talking about, and from Dave's puzzled look, he doesn't either. You hear a quiet snort of amusement in June's direction, but when you look, she's a picture of innocence. A few minutes pass when it becomes apparent that Solux isn't going to come back right away. The four of you head back upstairs again. I hope Carket's managed to hide somewhere, Jade says softly as she sits on the back of the sofa. He's smart, so I hope so, Dave agrees unhappily. If we can locate Carcat, then maybe this slick guy can do something to find him and get him out, you say. Solux seemingly can't bring him back to this plane, but maybe the metaphorical mailman can in this situation. Solux pops out of nowhere with a sheet of rolled-up paper in one hand and the other pressed to his side. What happened to you? David gasps. You can see gold seeping between his fingers. He's bleeding. I'm fine, just a little stabbed. Slick is like that, and he's pissed that Carcat's loose in Midnight City. He can't get Carcat for the same reason I can't. Also, if Aradia catches him trying, then he's going to be in deep shit. He did get me a map, though. Not sure how much good it's gonna do. Come on. Solux leads you all back to the lab, and you watch as he hands over the map to your mother. Here, we can't get him out, though. I think I'm going to have to bargain with Death herself to get him back. Solux sighs. Your mother doesn't even look at him. She's too busy looking the map over. You don't have shit to bargain with, though, she says. Ow, Roxy, ow, Solux mutters. He takes his hand from his side and picks his blood-damp shirt from his skin, seemingly healed now. I have a different thought. Dead people are the only ones in and out. You get in because you die. He can't get out because he's alive. Maybe we can just spoof that variable, transfer your death to him. You die in there, but we act like it's him, yoink him out, you res on your own, die again, and peace out by yourself, your mother says and folds up the map in a snap. Whoa, that's a lot of Solux dying that I am not okay with, especially for someone that you just made up. Or especially for something that you just made up. Dave protests, getting between Solux and your mother. Everything is made up, she says cryptically. Also, I always get better. If Carcat actually dies down there, a for real death, and not just an injury, then he's never coming back. I come back. The problem is the amount of power it would take to join the two planes together enough for a live person to go through is way more than I have, Solux says, turning his focus from Dave back to your mom. I'm sure you can find the power somewhere, your mom tells him. Alright, this is all theory. We have to write the actual spell out and see if we can make it work before we even try this. Solux sighs. What are you waiting for? She grins and marches off deeper into her lab. This'll take a while. You should probably sleep, Solux suggests, and then follows your mother. That leaves you with the other three lingering uncertainly in the lab. I guess we're really doing this then, Jade says. We're... sorry. Dave didn't make the reference. We're making it happen. Oh my god. In the morning, I bet. She might forget that we're here, so we should probably go. If she finds you and me here overnight, we could end up distracting her when she freaks out about it. My dad's probably back by now. I'll see if he can pick us up and we can stay at my house. June suggests and pulls out her phone. Back from where? Jade asks curiously. Oh, business trip or something. Oh, hi, Dad. Yeah, I'm at the Lalondes. Can I get a ride with a friend and stay the night? Yeah, no, she's fine. Dad, don't. Fine. June hangs up the phone and groans. Problem? You ask. He's going to pick us up. Me and Jade can stay. He's bringing a cake. June grumbles. Ooh, cake, Jade says happily. We should probably start walking if we want to get to the place. Dad usually picks me up on time for him arriving. Call me tomorrow morning and let me know what's going on, yeah? June asks. Of course, man. Dave nods and June picks him up with what looks like a spine-cracking hug. She lets Dave down after a few moments and moves on to you. It's not your fault, you know. We're gonna get him back. June whispers to you and squeezes you tight. You're going to put the tightness in your chest down to the hug, and not your emotions about losing Karkat. Yes, that sounds sensible and astute of you. June heads off with Jade, and your house is as lonely as it ever was. This seems like a bad plan to me, Dave mutters. What other choice do we have? We can't leave Karkat here. It's not as if we can ask anyone else for help. Anyone we could ask is going to be far less powerful and capable than Mother is. Her typical mental state aside, her magical theory is still sharp as ever. If Solix can keep her on track, you say, and die in the process, Dave interrupts. He offered, and as he said, it's not permanent. Would you rather it was Karkat? You challenge him. I'd rather it was no one. What kind of impossible choice bullshit is this? Dave argues and folds his arms tightly. It makes him look like a petulant child. If you happen to come up with a method to get him out without anyone dying, I would be delighted to hear it, but until then, this is the one plan we have. I'm sure you don't want Karkat to die, especially given your quite plain feelings for him, you say. It's a conversational bait. Don't think about this thing, think about your feelings for Karkat. He falls for it, of course, because Dave is full of feelings, despite the front he tries to maintain that insists otherwise. I don't know what you're talking about, Dave insists hotly. Oh, I'm sure. The pining way that you look at him, the constant after-class hangouts at that coffee place, all very disinterested and unfeeling, definitely, you say with a smirk. Yeah, well, it's not like anything would ever come from that. He's not interested, Dave mumbles. You are entirely certain that is not the case, but you don't want to breach Karkat's privacy that much by just outright telling your brother that your roommate is clearly smitten with him. You need more information. And how do you know that? Did you ask him out? You ask. Yes, no, kind of, Dave says haltingly. He's looking away from you now. His cheeks and tips of his ears have gone going pink. It's always amused you with how much paler than you he is that when he's embarrassed, it shows up almost instantly, so very stark in color. Explain, you say, and prod him in the arm with your fingertip. I asked him over to mine after our study thing. Asked to watch a movie with me, like a date, but I thought that because it's not explicitly a date that maybe I should be subtle and ask questions. And he's straight, which means he's not into me. I may have to go hide in my room for a moment on this very flimsy pretense of getting a cool rock to show him. Or I may have had to hide. In my room for a moment on the very flimsy pretense of getting the cool rock to show him, Dave admits. He's got his face in his hands, now clearly mortified. The thing is that Karkat isn't straight. This isn't your supposition or anything. He's very plainly told you that his attractions doesn't seem to be based on gender at all, and he just likes who he likes. He's also pretty obvious about his affections for Dave. So the question you need to ask is, how does Dave know that Karkat is straight? You also want to ask exactly how this rock-based version went down, because you deeply regret not being able to watch that particular travesty in motion, but you'll make sacrifices for getting the most vital information. And how do you know that he's straight, you ask? He doesn't like Justin Timberlake, Dave says miserably. You stare. You feel the false equivalent is not strong enough of a term to describe just how wrong your brother's insistence that not being sexually attracted to Justin Timberlake is the same as not being attracted to men. Fucking stupid equivalents, perhaps. A moment, you tell Dave politely. You turn away from him and pluck an appropriately plush and luxurious pillow from the sofa. It's edged with gold trim and tassels. Lifting it up, you apply it to your face and loudly scream into it. Lowering the cushion, you turn and face Dave once more. Please excuse me, you tell him coolly and throw the cushion over your shoulder. You hear it hit something and shatter, but by the rules of Lalonde aloofness, you cannot turn and look, and Dave cannot comment on your actions. Everything is as normal. Distantly, a Roomba is alerted to the mess and is dispatched to sweep it up. Perhaps you ought to consider that not everyone attracted to men is attracted to Justin Timberlake, you suggest. Silence with your blasphemy, Dave replies, deadpanned. Perhaps also someone with a crush on you would have a good sense not to gush about an attractive celebrity when what he really wishes to convey is his feelings towards you instead. Someone with more tact than you continue. Oh, you can't be talking about Karkat then, Dave snorts. Good night, my dearest and stupidest brother. I'm going to rest because I'm sure that our mental clarity and energy will be needed for this spell, if what Solok said is any indication, you say, and bid him good night. He can struggle with his feelings of attraction on his own. Maybe if the two of them get married, you can recall this at their wedding toast. Actually, you would definitely do that, which makes it likely that Dave would try to stop you from giving such a toast, and instead nominate Solux to do it. Solux does have a penchant for mischief, though. You're sure you could persuade him to tell it instead. Before going to your bedroom, you stop by the kitchen and put the kettle on to boil. Rifling through the cupboards, sorry, I just need a He's so stupid. Oh, he's so stupid. I fucking love these two idiots so much. He's not into Justin Timberlake. Oh, he can't be gay. He can't be gay. It's the only qualifier. Okay. Alright, back to it. Shit, where were we? Before going to your bedroom, you stop by the kitchen and put a kettle on to boil. Rifling through the cupboards produces some chamomile tea bags. You pick up a mug, and lacking a saucer, you grab a small plate. It's easy enough to pull apart the top of the tea bag and pour the loose chamomile into your cup. When the kettle hisses to let you know that it's ready, you pour water into your cup and go to your room. You get ready for bed as the tea cools. You've had no luck seeing anything thus far, but now would be a really good time to see anything in the future. You slide into your bed and sit up cross-legged with the little plate balanced on one knee atop your blankets. Drinking your tea, you focus on the thought that Karkat is alone right now, and probably scared. He needs rescue. Seeing is what you always did. You need it now more than ever. You need some indication as to how you can help him. If you're going to go down the right path to do it, or if you need to pivot to some other solution before it's too late. You don't care if you have to rely on these hokey methods. You'll stoop to this if you have to. You have about a teaspoonful of tea left. You swirl the mug exactly as instructed to look, and you exactly as instructed. Oh my gosh! And look down. There's plenty of chamomile dust and bites in the water. It made for, honestly, a quite mediocre and gritty tea, but it left you with enough residue to read form. Of that you are certain. Karkat, you think of Karkat. You upend the mug onto the plate with care and wait. About a minute passes as liquid seeps out onto the plate, and with bated breath you lift up the mug. No tea on the plate. You turn the mug. There's no tea in the mug. It vanished. Again. Somehow. You just barely managed to resist the urge to fling the damned thing at the wall, instead dumping both on the carpet by your bed with a clatter. You flip the light off, roll over, and angrily try to sleep. When day breaks, you pass your mother making coffee in the kitchen and head down into the lab to find Solux there still working. There's several whiteboards lined up, and Solux is staring one down intently. What's the verdict? You ask, coming closer. You know that old movie, The Fly? The one where the human splices himself with a fly? I think that's what's happening anyway. I haven't actually seen it. We've been trying to make this spell regard every sentient thing within it as the same entity and then teleport Karkat out of here on my death without taking both of us and slicing us into one horrible thing, Soluk says. Ath relies on death for its triggering functions, yes. Could you not have the teleport only affect living creatures and activate it once you're... Oh no, because you need Karkat to read as dead. You realize your mistake as soon as you said it. Thanks for summarizing the last few hours of my work, Solux grumbles. Your work? What about Mom? You ask. Solux looks around, probably to see if your mom is within earshot. You know she's worse when she's tired. I convinced her to sleep at about 3. She got up at 7. It's better than nothing, he says softly. Kudos on you, being able to convince her, you say in surprise. Your mother is as stubborn as you are, so talking her into doing something reasonable that she doesn't want to do is impressive. How was she without me here? I'm sorry that I had to bail on you. I wouldn't have gone if it wasn't important, Solux asks quietly. His face is painfully earnest. He's always been kind to your mom, and she never once protested at having him here. He's the only person not related to her that she tolerates in the house. More than that, she likes him. He always looked after her without complaint, and they actually seem to enjoy each other's company for what it's worth. As much as you love your mother, her condition can be hard to handle. Sometimes she's just too much for you to deal with, and having Solix and Dave to share the load means she gets the best of all of you. It's why it always makes you livid when people suggest that all demons are naturally evil. Solix is no more inclined to evil than the average human being is, which isn't saying much. Have you seen the shit humans do? As far as you're concerned, he's family. Who cares if you're not the same species? We managed. It was just the usual stuff. Her forgetting to eat or trying to cook things she shouldn't. I caught her making alcohol in the alchemy setup one time. That was a thing. You sigh. She had a problem with it once. It's entirely understandable. In specific amounts, alcohol smooths smooths out the shattered shards of her mind. It extends the focus she can get in her lab to the rest of her thoughts and life. The problem is that the dose varies so wildly based on so many different factors that it's not feasible treatment, not to mention the side effects and the addictive nature of the stuff. You keep it out of the house now, but someone like your mom who can just conjure things if she wants, if she tries hard enough, well, it's tough to keep things out of her hands. I saw some chairs in the dining room, Solix says. Yes, that had been quite the discovery on the day that she also cut your book in half. She got in one of her obsessions about dividing things in half. She even took a library book out, although that turned out not to be a problem. Carquette found out. He was really sweet about it, actually. You admit? No shit, Solix snorts, as if you'd stated that the sky was blue. He turns his back to you again and looks at the whiteboard, though you suspect he's just avoiding eye contact with you. Carquette's good to a fault. He's too nice to people. He doesn't cut people out that he should. Stupid, endless well of second chances. After everything, he still called me to help him, and look where that got him. Idiot, Solix mutters. It got him off a mountain, and it got multiple people working tirelessly to rescue him. You'd say that Carquette's faith and trust was well founded there, but Solix is prone to pessimism at times. I'm sure you'll figure this out, and when you know the answer, the rest of us will give it all we've got to help you cast the spell, you assure him, and squeeze his shoulder. His tails gently curl around and squeeze your leg for a second, a gesture of thanks and affection. Like you, Solix is often subtle in how he shows affection, unless it's with Dave, in which case Solix is just clingy as fuck. Need to divide it in half, your mom mumbles as she comes down the stairs into the lab with coffee in her hand. Oh no. I made progress, Solix announces. Your mother walks over and looks the whiteboard over, especially in the places that Solix points out. We need to cut it in two, your mother insists. The spell? Make it two spells. Into. A loop in a loop. Execute the second after the first. She goes on and picks up a pen and starts to star certain sections of the code. That's doable. Complicated as fuck. If we pull it off, then it could solve some of our problems, Solix says thoughtfully. It's interesting that there's meaning behind her words for once. Normally, when she starts talking like this, she's just gone. If you separate it, half is hidden behind the first, she says nonsensically. I'll leave you to it, you say and back off. Sometimes you just can't watch this. Upstairs, Dave is up, although not dressed, and he's staring at the sofa. Both halves of it. Your mother, dearest, decided to bisect the sofa before coming downstairs. The sofa's not magical, right? We can just use that mending spell, he says as he sips at his mug. It wouldn't work on your library book because that was too full of its own magic to risk it. The future is mundane enough to be fine, though. You walk off to look for the spell, stored away in a drawer for safekeeping. Taking it out, you return to the sofa and press the paper to it as Dave shoves the other half close enough for it to touch both. Hold up, he says, and comes around to you. Dave crouches at your side and sets the drink out of the way. He presses his hand to the paper as well, and with a little focus from you both, the sofa snaps back together like nothing ever happened to it. She did the dining chairs, too, Dave says, and picks up his mug again. I can get those, you tell him. You stand up, spell in hand. You've had to repair more than a few things that your mother has done this to. Some things like glasses she's broken when drunk or confused were too far beyond the spell's capabilities, and you've had to have those replaced. This isn't new to you. Dearly, you wish it was, but alas, it is not. What if we can't get him back? Dave asks in a tiny voice. Mom and Solux are making progress on the plan to rescue him. The spell is coming along well, you say quite simply. And if it doesn't work, then what? Dave asks. Then we find a new plan, even if that plan is summoning up Solux's ex-girlfriend and fist-fighting her to get Karkat back. He's our friend, and your beloved. We'll fight him to get him back, you inform him. You will not be stopped, you will not back down, and the rest of the universe can just get out of the way because you are on a mission. Hey, I never said anything about love, Dave says hurriedly, his cheeks pink. Adorable. We are getting him back. You can manage your feelings later, you tell him, and leave to go repair whatever else your mother has taken apart in the house. Work on the spell takes time. You pass the time with schoolwork since you can't be of practical help in the mission to rescue Karkat just yet. Dave is effectively down 2 partners on this 3-person project, so you spend some time helping him work out the kinks of his spell work so that he doesn't fall behind because of this. You chat on the phone with June and Jade, keeping them up to date on the progress. They're working on the basic project too, so you don't feel bad helping Dave. You're missing alchemy class, of course, but you don't care about that much right now. It's not until the middle of the next day when Solux finally comes out and tells you that they think they're done with the spell. Call the others, we need as much power as possible, and when you're busy doing that, I'm going to sleep, Solux announces. He climbs onto the sofa next to Dave and pushes the notebook out of Dave's lap and settles his head there instead. He curls an arm around Dave's middle and tucks his face into his shirt. Dave, who is long since used to Solux's behavior, simply takes his phone out and starts texting the others one-handed. His other hand rests on Solux's ribs, his hand idly petting his side there. He's solidly asleep already. Demons don't need sleep, so when he chooses to, he can just do it on command. You would assume it provides some benefit, even if it isn't needed. Of course, this is nothing new to you. Studying Dave and Solux's behavior, both individually and together, filled many of your notebooks when you were younger. They're so psychologically fascinating. You'd call them codependent if it wasn't for the fact that they don't seem to try to control each other. It's more that they just seem to deeply enjoy each other's company. Who could you blame for finding them so interesting, especially with few other people to interact with as you grew up? You don't relish bringing June and Jade back to your house, the ever-present fear that your mother will have one of her turns and lash out at them hangs over you like some sort of Damocles. You try your best to keep them as far away from your mother as you can, but when it comes time to actually cast the spell that Solux and your mother have spent days working on, there isn't much you can do. Your mother's work has always been complex, but this is beyond what you've seen her do before. The floor is filled with ring upon ring on the floor and ceiling. The writing is small, neat, and clear, and seems to cover so much detail that you can barely wrap your head around it. Karkat's things are placed in one section, and the map that Solux brought back is in another. Heady incense fills the room, and vases filled with lilies is arranged in a very specific space. In other marked areas are some alchemical components, and the whole area is ringed with lit candles. Rising scientific methodology meets inscrutable mysticism. Solux is already in the circle when everyone else is being directed to their place. He's crouched down, adding a symbol of 2 wavy lines to the Ath code right near June's area. He stands up and makes sure to stay clear within the inner circle of the 2 that ring him. Waiting on you, baby, your mom says casually. Yeah, right. Solux nods. He casts a glance Dave's way and winces. You might not want to watch this part, Solux advises him. Anything you're going to have to do, I'll watch. If you really don't think that I should see it, then maybe it's not something you should do, Dave tells him stubbornly. This isn't a fight that's going to go anywhere. Solux needs to die to get to where Karkat is, so it's not negotiable. All the same, Dave still doesn't approve. Solux hardly wants to upset Dave, so he'd prefer if Dave didn't see it, but Dave won't turn away. It's a stalemate. Solux sighs and produces a sword from nowhere. He shoots Dave one last pleading little look, but it just bounces right off your brother's shades. All right, Solux mutters. With a swift, clean stab, he runs himself through the chest and keels over, bursting into burning gold before he even hit the ground fully. Jade and June both gasp in alarm, and you can see the way that Dave cringes. Gold sinks into the floor, and the text around the smaller circle bursts into life. The rings drawn into the floor spin, and the glowing text pulses in your mother's bright pink magic. It'll be a minute. There's a time difference, your mother explains. A minute passes, then 2. All at once the map in one circle starts to glow, and the alchemical supply seems to consume themselves. Karkat's things take on a grayish to off-white glow. Solux has found him. He'll make connection to the spell from that side, and will bring Karkat back here. There'll be a pull, and you've got to focus on him. Give it what you got, your mom says, somewhat confusingly. Excuse me. Within the larger circle, the smaller one that Solix was standing in is still spinning slowly. It's almost hypnotic in its gentle movements. At least that is, until it jerks out of alignment and crashes into the outer circle by June. It starts to roll around, a wheel within a wheel, or like gears meshed together until it gets to your mother. She's already kneeling down, and when the circle reaches her, she presses her long fingers to the spell, and the second part of it flares to life. Hurriedly, you focus on Karkat, drawing him into your mind. It's hard to keep your concentration on him, as the pull of energy from the spell is intense. It is as if gravity is suddenly stronger. Everyone else seems to be affected as well, and a wind that only can be magical whips around the circle, seeming to shape red and blue light that's flaring up from around the lines of the spell. There's no way it's a natural breeze. You're in a basement lab and there's no windows down here. The light burns brighter, blue and red intensely burning. Within that light, a shadow of a figure starts to appear. Then as suddenly as the lights came, it stops in a flash, so bright you have to blink spots from your eyes. Karkat is laid out on the floor in the middle of the circle, and where Solux had been is just a tiny snake. It worked. Chapter end! Oh boy! End of the chapter! Oh my god. Oh, next chapter is fucking chunky. Oh boy. Fun chapter. It's fun. It was fun seeing Rose's POV, and we got some little teasing. We got to see what happened. It is interesting because I was thinking about this as we were reading it, because they were saying that there's a time difference. So I was thinking about this last night, actually. So here, right, if we're looking at here, next chapter has some great scenes. I'm excited for next chapter. If we're looking here, where is the text? Yeah, 2000, like, this is like Earth days, right? Because in Midnight City, it's also slower, right? Like, the world is moving slower in Midnight City, because in the real world, it was like a week, and Karkat was here for like 30 minutes. So is the world moving slower in Midnight City to like make up for the fact that like bajillion people, like, I don't know, however many people die every day, and they have to like slow time down to be able to like not for everything to move like a slower rate so they can keep up with everybody coming over that they can't deliver on. I don't know if that like logic works out. It works in my brain a little bit, but I don't know if that's like the actual logic that they're following. Cause yeah, so cause it's like, okay, in a week, how many people die, right? You know, and then in Midnight City, if that's 30 minutes, then it would just take longer. Well, yeah, it's 5 years since the event, but, and if that's, I guess, I'm more thinking about the difference between how time, like, flows, because it can still be 5 years from the event, because but that's also inside, like, that's not coming from the outside, or is it coming from the outside? Hold on. Was that, I mean, that was from the outside newspaper. But do you see what I mean? Where it's like, let me see if I can, hold on. Let me get a fucking paint out. Okay. Down the screen. Okay. So if like, if this is Midnight City, right? And this is, you know, fucking, I don't know how I'm gonna draw this out. Okay, Midnight City versus Earth, right? Earth is a week, so this is 1 week, and this is, you know, the same amount of time. This is 30 minutes, right? So it's hitting the same amount of time. Like, this amount of people, like, die, right, over the course of 1 week, but it's transferred over in only a span of 30 minutes. So it's like, it takes it them longer for more people to fill in. You know what I mean? So the population doesn't grow like crazy, but they're also still observing Earth, right? They still get news from Earth. So they can still say like, oh, it's been, you know, 2000, whatever fucking days since the event, and we know that, but it's different here because it's less time because the time dilation is different. Does that, am I crazy? Does this make any sense? This doesn't make any sense, does it? It doesn't, it's not like that it matters a crazy amount, but I was thinking about it. Anyways. Why is this? Oh, that's weird. So yeah. Anyways, okay. So next chapter will be, I think we go back to Karkat's POV. Do we? I just want to check. That's community gardens. Yes. Okay, we're back to Karkat POV. Yeah. Oh, sorry. No spoiler. Oh, no. I'm not gonna read. Not gonna look. Oh, I don't want to look. I'm excited. Okay, so we don't do stuff on weekends. So next chapter, we will be reading chapter 10 on Monday. Sino, do you want to do 9 p.m. EST? We could start doing earlier if you want to go, if you just want to go earlier in general, just because Dinny isn't caught up. And the reason why we were going later is because we were waiting for Dinny. Though I guess Dinny could catch up over the weekend. But Sino, if you have a preference of when you want to do it, I don't mind doing it earlier than 9 if it works. Nah, 9 is normally good. Okay, cool. We will do then Monday at 9 p.m. EST. We will start chapter 10. Or we will do chapter 10. And yeah, so exciting stuff. Oh, one other thing, because you guys are here, I'm not super far in the sketch, but I was working on something yesterday. And I think I want to finish it. I just need the time to. But I was working on, because I was just thinking, I mean, come on, we were all thinking about that one scene in chapter 8 when we were reading it. Let me pull it up. I still have to do a lot to it, but tablet screen. I was working on a sketch. I was working on a little sketch for it. I was working on a little bit of a sketch because I have illness. So yeah, I'm gonna work on this later. Because I love him. And then I'm gonna have there's gonna be another page that's just its own page. That's the answer me, you know. So it'll come out fun. I'm excited. Okay, that is all for today's stream. I have to go running. So I will talk to you all Monday. Thank you guys all for hanging out. Getting into the fun stuff. We're getting ready. Oh my god, I need Dave and Karkat to kiss, and I need them to kiss now. I need them to kiss now. I need them to kiss. Anyways, okay. I'll see you guys Monday. Good night. Bye-bye. I'm waving. Ending stream now. Bye-bye.